Hello, everyone else. Hello to you. I'm just inviting people to join. If you are watching this right now and you are live with me, please share and invite other social work colleagues that you know will want to hear this, because it's going to be useful information for you guys to tap into. I hope that your day has been wonderful. Today's gone super quickly, I think. I had an amazing day. I have I've just got off a call with a client, a social worker. And prior to that, I went roller skating for the first time. Hey, Elizabeth, for the first time in a few years. Hey there, to those of you that have joined on IG. Oh, it was so much fun. I did not fall over once, and I'm going to get back out on my skates tomorrow morning before I meet with my personal trainer at 7. I'm going to be out there at 6, so I'm super excited about that. So how has everyone else's day been? I hope it's been lovely. You can let me know in the comments. If this is the first time that you're catching one of my lives, my name is Nicole M. Louis of NicoleMLouis.com. I'm the social worker strategy mentor, and that means I hold the hands of social workers who want to take the journey of independence. So I show you how to become independent from ground zero all the way to launching, hiring your staff, all of that good stuff, and everything, all the juicy bits in between. So, creating your products, your services, understanding who your clients are, knowing how to price your services so that you're getting what you deserve, right? So I do all of that fun stuff, and I absolutely love it. My background's in social work, so you'll hear a little bit about that anyway when I do this talk. But today I'm going to be talking about how much experience do you need to be an independent social worker. This is a question that I get asked quite a bit. And so I'm excited to share with you about this. So I'm going to dive in. If you've got a notepad and pen, I think I want to do as an exercise to help you think about this more for yourself, and if you're thinking about embarking on this journey. So first things first, let's talk about it. How much experience do you need? Let's talk about this. The first thing that I think about when I think about experience is age, right, of somebody. And I know some social workers are going to be more hung up about age than others. Okay, it really depends on. It depends on, what stage you're at in life. It depends on where you work. It depends on what your values are as well, right, around your age, and whether you think that's you the market because you're heading towards retirement, and so is there a point in becoming independent, or kind of too young, you might feel, and that actually I've only just become a social worker, qualified, so would I actually fit the bill to be an independent? And if you're somewhere in between, you might just be like, well, I'm at an age where I'm not at retirement, I'm not very particularly young, but at the same time I just want a bit of an easy life. Here's the news flash. There is no such thing as an easy life. Anything that you have or that you want that is going to be amazing and that is going to be worth fighting for will be just that. It's going to be work to do it. It's really about how you perceive the work. And I guess it's also about how you take the journey. Are you going to do the journey alone, or are you going to do it with somebody who has the know-how to make it easy for you? So that's some of the things around age. And I think also in relation to age, I want you to think about life experience. So wherever you are on that spectrum that I've just described, I want you to consider what personal life experience do I actually have in relation to what I want to do as an independent. So as I'm talking about this and we're sharing, I want you to think about this in relation to what do I want to do as an independent. And I think maybe I should say a caveat here is to suspend any ideas that you have about what you think independence is going to be like, i.e. most social workers think that independence is just about doing assessments. Like, no, it's not. It's not just about that at all. Social work is what at the heart and at its core. Social work is about helping individuals. It's about making their lives better. It's about transforming their lives. It's about helping them in their most critical stages and times in life. That's what social work's about. It's about connecting with people and building communities, stronger individuals, stronger families. That's what social work's about. So I want you to keep that in mind as we talk about this thing called experience and how much do you need to be independent. So life experience is the first thing that you're thinking of. Like, what life experience do you actually have that lends itself to what you want to do as a social worker? That's the first thing. And these are some things that you might just want to jot down. Take these notes down, because again, at the end, this is an exercise that I'd like you to go away and do and think about. So outside of that, then I want you to think about what your work and career experience is. Now, this is not just social work related. Some people have had a previous life as a nurse or as somebody in IT or in any other area work related. It could have been something that you did when you were much younger that you really enjoyed, and somehow because you got married and had a family, you know, your life took you into the realm of social work, but actually your passion back then was and is still IT because you're a geek or something like that, right? Whatever it is, I want you to think about those things, because all of these areas in your life, you are going to be able to, it makes up part of who you are, and it will actually inform and enhance whatever you have to offer. So that's the first thing as it relates to age. So think about all of those things on the continuum of age and what you've done in your life. What have you experienced? Positive or negative, don't just exclude the negative things, because the negative things are things that we have overcome. And those things that we've overcome, if we overcame it, how did we do that? Like, that's something teachable, right? That's something that places you very strongly in a position of empathy, where you can help somebody else and where you will know what they're going through or something similar, and you've got an idea about how they can overcome it. So that's very huge in terms of experience, okay? The other thing is around knowledge. Now, by knowledge, I mean subject knowledge. Like, what have you studied? What have you learned about? What things do you know that are, you know, that enthuse you, or that you think also will be helpful for the people that you want to serve, for them to know that they might not know, or that can inform how they can make a transformation. Those are some things that you want to think about in terms of your experience. What subjects do you know? And think about also the gaps of knowledge that you have. Where are the gaps in your knowledge? Because that again is going to inform you and tell you, do you have enough experience, right? If you want to work with people, for example, if I want to work with older people, for example, like, that's a huge gap of my knowledge in terms of what they need. Could I sit down and think about it and get the information? Yes, but I'd have to be very strategic. I'd have to have it at the forefront of my mind that there are huge gaps and I need to then go out and get it. Whereas if I were to say, okay, I want to work with parents, that's far less of a gap, because of the fact I've worked with parents so much, working on frontline and child protection remit. And it really, again, depends on what exactly do I want to do with them, you know, as an independent, as to, you know, what I'm intending on sharing. Yeah. So somebody says, Isabel says, I'm only 24. I've just completed my BSCW with 2 years experience from my practical training. Okay, so great. So hold on to that and stick a pin in that, because I'm going to come back to that, something like that. Okay, and then thinking about your skills. What are your hard and your soft skills? And again, where are the areas that you're working on developing, and how does that fit with what you want to do as an independent social worker? Who are the people that you're going to serve? Hey there, Anthony, good to see you. You know, and then I want you to think about your non-social work skills. So again, thinking about all areas of your life, because these things make up you, and you'll be surprised how much of it you bring into your social work everyday life, how you bring it into how you connect with your clients, the kind of ways in which you talk with them, the language that you use, the way and the methods that and techniques that you use to engage with them, you know, outside of the theoretical things like systemic or looking at the graces, or, you know, looking at empowerment theory or ethical theory. I want you to think more broadly from a practical skill point of view, and what your experiences you've had in a previous life and the knowledge that brings with it. Yeah. So then I want us to think about our years of experience, because this is where we come into it, and where, like Isabel is talking about, she's only 24. She says only 24, right? And you've completed your BSCW 2 years ago, and you've had practical training. So depending on where you are, here's what I'd say to the years of service. Again, it really depends on what is it that you want to do. So some social workers DM me and they talk about wanting to become independent, and they're thinking about becoming independent in an area that is not really related to what they are currently doing, but they feel that they need to remain in statutory services to get more experience. So I'm asking, like, well, experience in what exactly? Because if you're thinking about doing this, but you're currently doing that, then how is that going to help you? Yeah. So, and that's what I want you to be thinking of. It makes no sense if your previous love was early childhood years work, and that's what you want to do as an independent, but you're focused on getting another 4 years under your belt of statutory training. Like there's no point in doing that, because when you're in frontline work, you're not going to be doing the statutory stuff. That's the statutories department. All you'd be doing is referring, and you know how to do that. So, you know, what is it that you actually need to cultivate in terms of the services that you want to provide for those in early years? So it's thinking about it along those lines. Similarly, I have people, and this is something that I really want to say to social workers: do not underestimate, you know, your life experience and your work experience. I've consulted with social workers who have got a life experience and work experience in the field that they want to work in as an independent, but they don't feel they have enough. Even if they've stepped away for a time, they feel that they need to go back and do a lot of years to get back under their belt to catch up, when the reality is all you're doing is going back to get burnt out. Yeah, if you've got life experience and you've had previously 10 years of experience in a field, you don't need to go back for years on end, i.e. 3-4 years, even maybe 2 years, to get back experience. All you really need to be doing is filling in the gaps of the knowledge, i.e. the legislation, and what are some of the practices out there now. You could go to webinars, conferences, you could probably look at YouTube videos to learn some of those things, or even pick up the phone, have a conversation with certain organizations that can fill in those gaps for you, rather than kind of putting yourself back in the dragon's den, as it were. Because the reality is some people left it because they were burnt out. And so they end up going back into it because it becomes something that they feel they have to do. And the reality is they don't. It's about being strategic in how do they fill the gaps in their knowledge, and for what purpose. Yeah. So the other thing that I've put down is don't wear yourself out. That's the other thing that I want you to understand in terms of this experience, and how much experience do you need. Don't go to wear yourself out. Like, if you're going to go back into local authority or even into any paid employment after you've left, you know, it's important that you don't wear yourself out. Be very strategic about how long, where you go, and what you're doing and for what purpose, so that you don't wear yourself out. And be mindful that you may not need to. You may not need to. And I found that when I've consulted with social workers, it really lies down to their confidence. Yeah, the buck really stops with their level of confidence about their abilities and their self-worth, and about their abilities as a social worker and their confidence levels. And I tend to find that the social workers I'm consulting with are very experienced, very able, but they don't believe in themselves. And so they feel they have to make so many steps backwards in order to go forwards, when actually they don't. So somebody said, hey, return to social work after a break, worked in fostering, and we'd looked after children for 14 years. Okay, yeah, that's like 14 years is a long time. So imagine if you were going to go into independence and you were thinking about doing a service for children who are looked after, or young people who are looked after. Even if you stepped away and took a break from it, I mean, fostering is linked with looked after children, but you know, imagine if you were taking a break from it and you did something completely different, like you went to a drugs and alcohol service, for example. Do you think you would have to go back into fostering or looked after children after coming out of it, let's say, for 5 years? Tell me in the comments. Okay, so Jenny's saying she agrees with the lacking in confidence, self-worth. Yeah, a lot of social workers feel that. They really do feel that. And the reality is, if you're in that kind of situation, you absolutely do not need to go back into statutory children's services to get abreast of what's going on for looked after children now. You don't have to put yourself back in the frying pan to find out. Read, get some up-to-date books. Have conversations with your colleagues and friends that are in that department working. Network with social workers. Go to the forums that organizations, the major organizations run and hold. You will undoubtedly rub shoulders with those people. Pick their brain, find out. It's free. Go online, look on those organizations' website. They will have that up-to-date information, that data. Go onto the local authorities, even your local authority, even if it's not a neighbouring borough, your own one, and look at what they have written. What have they got in their strategic plan for children and young people? It will include things that the government have on their agenda, and the local authority will have their own agenda too. You can look at 2 or 3 local authorities and compare and contrast. There are so many things that you are able to do, without having to go back into it from an experiential point of view, especially if you've had something like 14 years of working in it before. Like, the ropes, what needs to be done in terms of processes and stuff. Ultimately, what we need to understand is, how do we engage our clients? How do we make their lives better? How do we help transform their lives? That's really what our work is supposed to be about. And you don't need to put yourself in the frying pan to learn and understand that. And I think that's really important for us to hold on to, because ultimately we just end up burning ourselves out, and then we're no use to man nor beast. All right, we just wear ourselves down. And so, Jenny's saying, I think we have the skills and experience that can be adaptable. Absolutely. And that's why I always encourage, as part of what we do on the program, or even when I work with my one-to-one clients, we always look at what are your skills and your abilities outside of social work, because we always talk and we get stuck on what we can do as social workers because we're so multi-talented. But we often have, some of us have had like a previous life. I remember one of my managers, she used to be a nurse. She was a registered nurse. I've had people that have had long years in probation. I've met with social workers who used to do, they were in acting. People come from all sorts of walks of life, and those are the same things that you can actually pull in to your independence and do things in a different way. What is to say that if you don't have a skill of playing piano, that you couldn't create a service that helps your clients through the medium of piano playing, or teaching them piano, or having an element of piano playing into what you're doing? Like, it's absolutely, you create whatever you want and how you want it, and do it in a way where people will grasp it, where they'll enjoy it and latch onto it. And that is so important. So somebody says on Instagram, it's all about the evidencing of our ability to develop relationships. Absolutely. So and the proof of the pudding's in the eating. Listen, it's when you engage your clients and those that you're working with, how well do they remain connected? How well do they actually make the transformation that you were trying to give them? That's really what it boils down to. And no amount of experience in a statutory setting or in a particular workplace is necessarily going to give you that. It's really about how you show up as well, and how much of yourself are you giving to the process. And I think about that very much in terms of systemic. When I was doing systemic therapy, we always learn that second order cybernetics is about us being, as therapists, part of the process, right? And we are, we're no longer of the mindset that we're just there and we're an audience of what's going on in front of us. We are part of the process, and we are interrupting patterns and helping them to change. And so, we play an integral role in that, and it's no difference when we become independent. So, in terms of how much experience do you need enough experience, knowledge. It's not just about the experience, it's the knowledge, it's the skills, it's the adaptability to be able to transfer that into whatever you are intending on doing. There is no point in getting a wealth of experience or having a wealth of experience in one area when a completely different area is what you want to do independently. There's no point. Yeah. And if you've got a wealth of experience in lots of different areas, then what I teach social workers to do is to know how to narrow it down with a particular strategy that I use and a filtering system, so that actually they can get to a place where they make a decision about which one they're actually going to be going with and moving forward with. And oftentimes it is outside of what they thought they were originally going to do. Because again, most social workers come to me and they just think that they're going to do assessments. And the reality is, if you're going to have a successful and a rock solid infrastructure, you can't rely on only assessments at all. And that doesn't matter whether you're doing PAMS assessments, risk assessments, parenting assessments. It's all assessments. It's all the same thing. That's one income stream. That's nowhere near enough. What research tells us is that most 7-8 figure earners have several income streams, several. Yeah. And so anybody who wants to make a success in business, you have to have more than one income stream. And I don't mean by that having like a multi-level network marketing company, then doing a bit of social work, then going and doing a bit of retail work, then selling cannabis oil, which is totally legal, by the way, on the side as well, and having all these different side hustles. Not saying there's anything wrong with doing that, but what you'll find is that your time and you are split in so many different ways. You're spreading yourself thin when you really want to have one, it's really important. I hope I'm still live. Can you still see me on LinkedIn and Facebook and on YouTube? Somebody is saying that they've got a problem with the Welsh computer system. It's going down. Happens now on a daily basis. I have heard of that. I have a good friend too. So I hope that you can still see me. Please let me know if you can. Give me a thumbs up or tell me yes in the chat if you're on LinkedIn. I know for Instagram you can still see me okay, but it just did a little, okay, great. Jen says yes, good, thank you. Yeah, Instagram, yes, good, thank you. So yes, so what was I saying? So yeah, you have to have several income streams. So you want to be diving deep and, on that career and having several income streams within that career. So for me, I've got different income streams in terms of what I provide for social workers, and it all relates to them making a transition. I also do assessments. I do speaking. I also do consultations for people that are not social workers and want help starting their business. So I've got friends that I do consultation with as well. So those are the things that you really want to be doing, and understanding that it's all related. So you're not kind of having to learn, because with everything you're having to learn a lot. You're having to really submerge yourself. If you think about what it took for you to become a social worker, like it was 3 years of a lot of study, a lot of reading books, a lot of doing the practical work. It was a lot of attending classes, having conversations, doing a lot of critical thinking, analysis, in order for you to know what you know. And then when you get out into the real world and start to practice, is another learning curve, right? Now all of a sudden it's a whole new way of learning that you didn't even understand, and yet you just did 3 years. So can you imagine if you're running your own business as a social worker, and you've got all these different things that you're doing? By right, all those other things, you should be spending a great level of time and detail in going deep to really understand it if it's going to be a success. So I encourage you to do that. So in a nutshell, how much experience do you need? It's relative to what you intend on doing. And it's not just your experience, it's your knowledge base, it's your skill set, and it's your ability to adapt and transfer information. That's really the core of it. And having strategy, I think I want to just add as a bonus onto that, is important. I know when I was becoming independent, so when I was becoming a social worker, that's where I learned to strategize. Like, I knew I wanted to be a social worker since I was 13. And when I wanted to go and do the degree, I wasn't old enough and I didn't have experience. So they wouldn't let me on the course. I tried to get into social work, they said, you don't have the degree. So I was like, so what do I do? So I had to really strategize and learn. And so I ended up doing an entry course, and then I worked in different places. It was a 6-year plan. Understand the commitment to being a social worker that I have, right? That's why I know I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing, right? And yes, it was a 6-year plan. Every year I had a piece of paper, I wrote the year and I wrote the months down the side, and I put next to it where I'd be working, where I'd be studying, why would I be doing it, how's it helping me to get to the stage, to get onto the course. And also being an employment-based student was also part of a strategy. So I actually went to a agency at that time and they found me a place, and it was just amazing. And so my career then kind of carried on, and then I started strategizing again until I got lost in the fog of social work and then burnt out and decided I need to be independent, and then started strategizing again. So that goes to tell you, that, experience, knowledge, skills, all those things are important, but strategy is also important to add to it, because without that, you will really struggle to move forward. I would say you would struggle to know what you need to do. And again, just going back to Isabel, like, it doesn't matter if you're only 24, depending on who your service user or your age group is, that could be a benefit to you, that age. And so don't think that you're ever too young. Don't think that you're ever too mature, or or in between. It's about how you market yourself and how you reference that. And depending on what job, I know that I people tell me that I look young for my age. I don't think so much now, but people tell me I look much younger for my age. And that was always a question I used to get when I was in practice. Like, people say, do you have children? How old are you? Very suspiciously. And of course I used to dodge it like a bullet. And I was like, I'm not really here to talk about myself. We're here to talk about you. Those ones that you had to do that, because I was young, like I was 25, 26, and here I am talking to a parent who's got 5 children, and talking to them about their parenting. It was, sometimes I had to dodge it like a bullet. But the reality was that there was always something for me to teach and share, and have a real conversation with them and get them to understand, the position in terms of my knowledge on child development, understanding children's needs, and helping them to think about responding to their child in a more appropriate way. And so when you're working independently, if you feel that your age might be a barrier, then think about, how can I partner with people who might be able to show this part of the work that I'm going to do more credibly, so I can partner with them if you think that's going to be an issue. Any how to manage that objection. That's all you need to do. And what do I mean by that? You're alleviating people's concerns. You have to understand and think about what they might feel and think, more so than what you might worry, because you might be hung up about it. They might not care. They might just be so glad that somebody's there to give them this help. And so think about it from their perspective. Always keep your clients in mind. They're the ones that you're doing this for first and foremost, and then you. And so think about, what is it that they might think and feel? What do they need to know? What issues that they have that I need to resolve for them? And so be clear to really answer that. So that is it in a nutshell of how much experience do you need. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please pop it in the comment section and I will check it. And of course, as always, on YouTube, I will go on after and check any comments. What I'd say is, if you're interested in understanding how to utilize your skills, your experience, your knowledge, understand how to properly transfer it, because I always say this, like, we are multi-talented, multi-skilled as social workers. And when we go to do independent social work, we want to put everything on the chopping board. Like, we want to do it all. We want to do things for looked after children. We want to do things for parents. We want to do things for everybody and their dog. And it's like, we got to narrow it down. We have to narrow it down. You can't do it all. When you realize what your clients need and what they want, and you drill down, you will find that there are so many things that you can cover to help them make that transformation. I'll give you an example. I think about when I worked with an organization here, well-known charitable organization, and I worked with parents that were struggling to manage their children's behavior. I did a lot of work with them, but the reality is, if I did an independent social work business and I wanted to do it working with you know, families like that, there is a vast amount of things that I can do with them and have different income streams just within that. But I think about the transformation that they need to make. Most of the time, what do we know? We know that it's not the child or the young person that needs to change. It's usually the parent, right? When the parent gets the boundaries right, when they get their confidence right, when they get their knowledge base right and understanding what their child really needs, rather than just giving them what they want, and giving them the support to do that, then actually the child normally falls in line, right? Or the young person. And so if I thought about doing a service for them, I'd think about what do they need in terms of mindset, because that's where it all starts. It starts back from whatever their experiences have been as a child or young person, and how that informs what they do now. Even as an adult, what experiences have they had? Sometimes they overcompensate with their child, which is why they have no boundaries. So we look at that. We could look at boundary setting and what that incorporates, what that means, what are the consequences, both positively and negatively. Right after that, we can look at techniques and a variety of practical ways around different cultures. What do different cultures do and how do they do it? Yeah, and then they can pick and choose which ones they think they'd like to use and adapt. Understanding child development, right? We've already got 4 things there that we need to take them on a journey of transformation to learn. Then there's the implementing it and the consistency, and what support network do they need, how and what support for the child even. Yeah, so you've got already 5, 6 things there that you need to go deep on in teaching them and learn them. Now, that could be a program that can be very much practical based. So we're going out and doing things as well as doing some of the theoretical things in the home or on base. We're also looking at maybe books. So I could be writing books. I could have workbooks. I can do a TV series. I could do a challenge for them. There are so many different things that can be done to help them in a very practical way to make this transformation. I can create a support group for them with parents that have got similar things going on, so that they can actually peer support and keep each other accountable. There are loads of things. I can start training them. I could get accredited and start training them to deliver and do this thing, and so that my business now expands. Can you see, just with that one thing, there are so many different things that can be done. And so I really, really want you to think to yourself in terms of, you know, having this conversation that we've had today. You know, if you want to learn all of these things in terms of how to utilize your knowledge, your skills, your experience, and your adaptability and strategy, then you absolutely want to either be working with me on a one-to-one. If you're somebody who wants accountability, if you want to fast track your progress, and if you want more in-depth knowledge and learning from me, then one-to-one is the way to go. If you want more community base, then the program Social Workers Launch of Freedom enrollment is actually open today. It's open now for you to enroll in. If you just go to my website, it's NicoleMLouis.com. You will actually be able to see the link, and you will be able to sign up there. Jenny says, thank you, really great and very useful. Are you in a position to discuss further how to set yourself up, etc.? Do you have a link to the address? Yep, I've just put the address there. I could put it here so you can go straight to it. So that should, oh, that went to YouTube. I don't know how I make it go here. Oh. Yeah, somehow it went to the website that I just put in the comments, went to the YouTube comments. But it's here on the screen there for you to see. So if you just go to NicoleMLouis.com, absolutely, Jenny, book a breakthrough consultation. Yeah, if you've got any questions right now, obviously go to the website and you can see the link where you can find out information about the program, the 6-month program, which is Social Workers Launch of Freedom. That's open for enrollment now. It's great if you are semi-independent or if you're new. I've got a lot of semi-independents that are just wanting that help to go over the threshold. That's ideal for you. But if you want to just have a conversation first, and even talk about one-to-one program, whether that is a fit for you. I only work with 4 people a month because I'm very all in and it's intensive. So it's limited, and you have to apply for that because I just don't work with everyone and anyone. You have to be the right fit for that program, that mentoring program. So if you just go onto the website, you'll also if you go onto my profile if you're on LinkedIn, you go to my profile page, you'll be able to see where you can book a free consultation with me, a breakthrough consultation, and we can have a bit more of a conversation about what's going on for you now, where you are in life, what you're trying to achieve, and how I might be able to assist you with that. And then we can take it from there. So absolutely, I'm looking forward to serving you all and excited tomorrow. I'm going to be going live again. I'm going to be doing a Q&A because I've got quite a lot of people asking me questions about the Social Workers Launch to Freedom program. So I'm just going to be going through the questions that people have been asking me, basically. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow evening at 7. And then the day after, I'm going to be going live with the social work coach who coaches social workers on resilience. So we're going to be having a conversation about resilience, and I'm really excited about that on Thursday. So I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you so much for those of you that joined on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and of course on Instagram. Oh, we have another question. Can you send a link to the website? Yes, sorry. Let's see, okay. I'm just sending it to, there we go. I've just sent it and I'm going to pin it on the Instagram. So yes, thank you so much. I love having conversations with you guys. And if there are any topics that you would like me to do that I haven't covered, please do let me know and I will gladly cover them for you. But for now, we will speak tomorrow. Take care. Bye.